Okay, so I picked up this book yesterday, The Poetry of Emily Dickinson. I got it from Five Below. I saw it for a few bucks. I'm like, I've always been meaning to read Emily Dickinson. Let me pick it up. I'm excited. And I started flipping through it yesterday. And not to say that the poems were bad, but they didn't carry the weight I was looking for. They didn't really talk about things that I was super fascinated by. If you know anything about me, I'm fascinated about when somebody talks about the whole existence of everything, such as William Blake, such as Khalil Gibran, such as Rumi, names like that. And I was a little bit disappointed because Emily Dickinson is one of the most famous, well-renowned names in all of poetry, and I was like, this isn't really what I was expecting because the poems weren't about the infinite, it wasn't about the universe. It was about birds or bees or gardening or nature, and not to say they were bad, not to say they weren't interesting in their own way. They just didn't have the same depth or the same weight that I was looking for. And I'm so happy I looked it up because I basically came to the conclusion that the copy that I have didn't do that great of a job compiling her more serious work. She had a lot of different poems about a lot of different things, and not all of them are the sort of topics I was looking for. And I looked them up. I found a few really good ones, so I'm going to read them to you right now. And hopefully, you don't make the same mistake as me. Hopefully, you know a good copy, a good collection of her poems that carry a certain weight, that carry a certain intensity to them that I'm looking for. I found a few things online, but again, if anybody knows a really, really good version, please, please, please tell me because I am on the lookout for one. This one is 632. I don't know what the numbering is. I don't know what the title of the poem is. It doesn't seem like she titles her poems. It seems like she just goes into it, which I enjoy. I don't like structure. I don't like formats. I like very basic things, and whatever format you need to explain your idea, I think is good. I don't even know the names of different rhyme schemes. That's not what interests me. What interests me is the heart of the poem. So 632. The brain is wider than the sky, for put them side by side, the one the other will contain with ease. And you, beside, the brain is deeper than the sea, for hold them blue to blue, the one the other will absorb, as sponges buckets do. The brain is just the weight of God, for heft them pound for pound, and they will differ if they do a syllable from sound. I think that's a very good way of describing, as Blake would say, perception, unbounded by any sort of structure. The weight of imagination, the weight of what you have inside your head, and the endless possibilities that we oftentimes neglect and we oftentimes like to ignore. Think about it. Your brain is possible of infinite capabilities, infinite permutations of ideas until we limit them by being stuck on one, by being stuck into an ideology, by being stuck in a dogma. And essentially, what Dickinson says here is that you have absolutely everything open to you, and you just need to look for it. This is 288. Again, I don't know where this is coming from. I wish I did. I wish I could point you in the right direction, but just look up anything that I'm saying, and I'm sure you'll find these poems yourself. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody, too? Then there's a pair of us. Don't tell they'd advertise, you know. How dreary to be somebody, how public, like a frog, to tell one's name, the livelong June, to an admiring bog. This one is just essentially talking about the nature and the idea of existence itself, and how we are trying to quantify things, how we are trying to sell things, how we are not being our true versions, we're not being our authentic selves. It's interesting that these ideas are around even back in Dickinson's time, because I think she was late 1800s, I want to say. I don't know. I just know she read Emerson, so that's really my only metric of where she was alive during. But it's weird to see like problems that Thoreau brought up, problems Emerson brought up, problems Dickinson brought up, and see how our struggles really aren't that much different than what we are dealing with right now. This is 303. The soul selects her own society, then shuts the door to her divine majority, present no more. Unmoved, she notes the chariots pausing at her low gate. Unmoved, an emperor but be kneeling upon her mat. I've known her for ample nation. Choose one, then close the valves of her attention like stone. Again, this is talking about, to me, what this is you're closing yourself off to different ideas. You're selecting one idea so that you reject the others. And I think it's very interesting to kind of juxtapose these ideas with the ones that we carry with ourselves, because really most of these great writers, what they will come to the conclusion of is that when you close yourself off to ideas, then you close yourself off to your rational capabilities, your ability to change, your ability to grow, your ability to make something different of yourself. And if you don't like where you are right now, then you need to change, and you can't change if you're clinging on to old ideas. We grow accustomed to the dark. This is my favorite. This is 419. We grow accustomed to the dark when the light is put away, as when the neighbor holds the lamp to witness her dew. A moment we uncertain step for newness of the night, then fit our vision to the dark and meet the road erect. And so of larger darkness, those evenings of the brain, when not a moon disclose a sign or a star come out within. The bravest grope a little and sometimes hit a tree directly in the forehead, but as they learn to see, either the darkness alters or something in the sight adjusts itself to midnight, and life steps almost straight. And I really, really, really love this one, because it's essentially talking about darkness and how we are all in darkness. We are all in some way fumbling for the light, and in some way searching for the direction and the guidance. But you don't have that guidance or direction if you don't go out there into the world. You don't have that guidance or direction unless you actually try to find it. And so few people actually do. So few people are able to get over that fear of the unknown, the fear of what could happen, and step out into something greater, step out into something that you might not have control of. And it's just a simple reality of life, and she puts it very, very well in this. Let me just make sure there's not another one. This is 670. One need not be a chamber to be haunted. One not need be a house. The brain has corridors, surpassing material place. For safer of a midnight meeting external ghost than its interior confronting that cooler host. Far safer through the abbey gallop the stones a chase, than unarmed one's a self encounter in lonesome place. Ourselves behind ourselves concealed should startle most. Assassin hid in our own apartment be horror's least. This one is essentially, it's talking about the parts of your brain that haunt you, the parts of your brain that attack you, the parts of your brain that you are always facing, as simply just applying Jungian psychology before Jungian psychology. Think about your shadow, think about the traits that constantly rule you, think about the things that you do when you don't want to do them, but you have this impulse to do it anyway. It's those darker corridors of the mind, those darker aspects of yourself, and coming to grips with this. And it's something that Freud said. Essentially, he said that all great authors, all great creatives understand the mind before the necessity for his terminology. They understood the unconscious conscious way before he could ever put it into terms. And this is really what you see here. Here's one last one I will give you guys, and I feel like this should be all the inspiration to go read her yourself, and hopefully you know a good version of her poems to send my way. 185. Faith is a fine invention for gentlemen who see, but microscopes are prudent in emergency. I think that says it all itself. And yeah, here's some poems that I was reading last night that I was greatly inspired by. And yeah, I would say for the future, what I'm going to do is, when I find a poet I like, or a set of poems, I'm going to be very selective with the versions I get, because there was a weight to all these poems that I was very fascinated in. But the poems that are mostly in this, they're not as interesting, because they're just not things I find as much depth in, I find as much heart in, I find as much soul in. And that's not necessarily a criticism of her, that's just a criticism of my own interest and what I am inspired by and what I personally resonate with more. So with that said, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Peace out. I'll catch you in the next one. yeah, hopefully this was an enjoyable video. I can do more of these in the future.